I want to get some reaction now from California Republican Congresswoman and House Small Business Committee member Young Kim. Congresswoman, you say the president wants to create jobs, or that he says that, and then he promotes bills that actually would kill jobs, and that this is actually happening in your state. Walk us through it.
Yes, definitely. The president keeps talking about creating jobs, but at the same time, he's asking Congress to pass legislation like PRO Act. Trust me, representing the state of California, where I've seen the failed policies of AB 5, it has killed gig economy. It has killed independent workers. It has driven workers and businesses out of my state of California. The last thing that Congress should be doing as we try to recover economy is to pass a legislation that will put the brakes on our recovery. It's killing jobs. It's hurting small businesses. So much so that during COVID, we have lost over 40,000 jobs or businesses closing down, and almost half of them have permanently closed. This is the last thing we should be doing. PRO Act is going to nationalize our failed policies of AB 5 from Sacramento, and it's anti-business, anti-worker, anti-freedom, anti-American. This is the last thing we should be working on.
And the Biden agenda is part of the problem, Congresswoman, but also the pandemic, of course, accelerated, I think, some of what we're seeing. And part of that has to do with Gavin Newsom and his management of it as well. There's a reason that in blue states, we've seen more businesses close down than in red states because there was a reluctance to reopen the economies in an appropriate way.
Correct. I think the fact that 1.7 million valid signatures to try to, recall Governor Gavin Newsom tells you where the people's mind is. People are tired. They want to open our economy. We want to get back to work. But the Biden's policies is going to increase more taxes and increase our federal national debt. This is the last thing we should be working on, and we need to work on opening our businesses. Not that the mask mandate is coming off. I hope the state of California will follow the CDC guidelines and safely getting back economy and open everything up, following those CDC guidelines in a safe way.
Yeah, and when we talk about the exodus from blue states to red states during the pandemic, of course, California is one that always comes up. But Congresswoman, stay with us, if you will, because I want to talk about the migrant surge for just one moment. The Democratic mayor in Del Rio, Texas, bashing the Biden administration over its immigration policies after a 400% increase in migrant crossings this year. Alex Hogan is with us. She is live in Texas with an exclusive look at this. Good afternoon to you, Alex.
Good afternoon. In just the last 2 months, state troopers and the Texas Department of Public Safety have helped respond to more than 1,000 aerial agency assists. And we have the chance to join them to see what they're seeing every single day. They're seeing an increased number of calls, and we got to look to see how busy it really is. Most of those calls are referring to need in terms of customs and border protection along the border. Del Rio is the second busiest sector along the border, and the Rio Grande Valley is even busier.
Our pilots just got word of people who were trying to run away from law enforcement, so we responded to these coordinates, and now the search begins. One person looking to see what they can, the other surveying through cameras to see if they can find someone and then relay that information back to, again, the Texas Department of Public Safety, Customs and Border Protection, and any state troopers also here in the area.
Later on, our pilots spotted smugglers, their white van initially hidden by trees. The group loaded big bundles of drugs onto the vehicle to take across the water there from Mexico into the U.S. While seeing our helicopter, they quickly reloaded the van, speeding away. And that is, again, just an example of one of the many things that they see here every single day. Another issue that they're seeing is stash houses, and it's a very well orchestrated system of bringing people and narcotics across the border and keeping them in one area before moving it to the next. Of course, these helicopters, just one key in the puzzle of how they're trying to crack down on this increase of what they've been seeing in recent months. Back to you.
Really interesting perspective. Alex Hogan, thank you so much for that. I want to go back to the Congresswoman on this because you visited the border last week along with other GOP members that have gone down there since the crisis began. And you're urging the president, you're urging the vice president to go there and see the crisis firsthand. And yet they keep coming up with excuses of why they're not going. They want to address the root causes. COVID is the problem. They need to wait. So your thoughts on why they haven't done this?
They're denying and ignoring that there is a crisis at the border. I really urge them to go down there because there are failed policies of giving false hope to these migrants to come on over because we're going to accept all of you. This is sending a mixed signal and wrong signal. We have to recognize the fact that we do have a crisis at the border. It is undermining legal immigration and it is draining the resources of our Border Patrol agents. And so we need to make sure that we work on securing the border and recognize the crisis at hand. And let's not, let's really work on fixing the immigration system that previous Congresses have failed. Yeah. This is inhumane, and we need to make sure that we reinstate the policies that have worked in previous administration and make sure that the migrants stay in Mexico to process the migrant asylum cases so that they can come here legally. And we welcome legal immigration.
We do welcome legal immigration. That's the first point to make. And the previous administration just said, you have to do it legally and you have to stay at home while your case is pending. But the experts that I've spoken to, many of them have pointed to the, sort of denying of the crisis, the inability or unwillingness to act on behalf of President Biden and Kamala Harris, Vice President, who's in charge of this, by the way, essentially as, purposeful. The longer they ignore it, the more it becomes status quo, and everybody just has to get used to the policies that they're implementing here.
I totally agree with you. We can't fix the problem unless we recognize that there is a problem.
Right. No, absolutely. Great to see you. Thank you so much for your time today, Congresswoman.
Thank you.